In the heart of rural Nova Scotia, two small voices went silent.
My heart tells me these babies are gone. My heart tells me that.
Our heart don't lie, and my heart is telling me that my kid did not have nothing to do with this, and I had nothing to do with this.
Lilly Sullivan, 6 years old. Jack, 4. No trace, no sound. Just two empty beds, a quiet trailer, and questions that would haunt a province. What began as a local search soon consumed an entire community. Dogs tracked every scent the wind would carry. Helicopters circled. Neighbors combed the woods.
I know the truth. I didn't kill Lilly and Jack.
I'm just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them.
But the forest gave nothing back. Families prayed. Communities held vigils beneath cold skies. And through the heartbreak, questions began to multiply. What really happened that morning? Where could two children vanish from a home in the middle of nowhere without a trace? Inside this small Nova Scotia home, 3 adults say they did nothing wrong. RCMP say they have no suspects. And yet, something doesn't add up. A pink blanket, a trail through the woods, and a night that no one seems to fully remember. 6 months, no answers, only whispers and the weight of what's missing. In the search for Lilly and Jack, every clue leads somewhere, but not all roads end with truth. The morning they vanished. It was May 2nd, 2025. A quiet Friday morning in Pictou County, Nova Scotia. The kind of morning when the fog drifts lazily through the trees and the world feels untouched.
Police are pursuing all investigative avenues, and there's a variety of teams involved who are applying the tools and the skills and the expertise needed to locate and bring Lilly and Jack home.
In a small trailer tucked along Gerald Road, 6-year-old Lilly Sullivan and her little brother Jack were starting their day. The television flickered softly. Breakfast dishes still sat on the counter. Outside, a swing moved gently in the wind, the only sign of motion in the yard. No one heard a car. No one saw them leave. By the time the sun climbed above the pine line, the stillness had changed.
And I said, "What's up?" She said, "Jack and Lilly are missing." I said, "How long?" She said, "About 20 minutes.
When it opens, and they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time, and the next thing we knew, it was quiet, and we get up, and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, "Do you hear the kids?" And he says, "No," and we get up instantly. We're looking outside.
A mother would walk into an empty room. 2 small beds, unmade. No sound of laughter, no tiny footsteps. And in that single impossible moment, a family's world collapsed into silence. What began as an ordinary morning would soon become one of the most haunting mysteries Nova Scotia has ever known.
Lilly and Jack are awesome kids, very, very kind. They'll talk to anyone. They want to go with anyone. They're just looking to have as much fun as they can. Jack just absolutely loves bugs, dinosaurs, and anything like that.
At exactly 10:01 a.m., the first call reached the Pictou County RCMP dispatch. 2 children, Lilly and Jack Sullivan, were missing from their home on Gerald Road. A vulnerable person alert was issued within minutes. Officers rushed to the scene, finding the sliding back door slightly open, breakfast plates still on the table, and 2 tiny pairs of shoes left behind. There was no sign of forced entry, no footprints in the mud, no broken glass, nothing but an open doorway leading into miles of dense, wet forest. Neighbors joined the search almost immediately,
It's like every parent's
shouting the
worst
children's
nightmare. You don't
names
ever
into the
want to have
wind.
to ever go through
For
something
hours,
like this.
there was only
And
the
I think
echo
it's
of
good
their
to
own
show
voices.
them that their community is here for support if they need it. It's hard because with Facebook, you're on Facebook every morning, check and see if there's an update. You go to the RCMP site to see if there's an update.
Helicopters were called. Drones were launched. And as the sound of sirens spread through the valley, a chilling realization began to take hold. Lilly and Jack had vanished without a trace, and no one knew when or how it had happened. Within hours, the quiet back roads of Lansdowne Station were no longer quiet.
We're not packing up, and we're not giving up. Our investigation is broad, and it won't end until we know where Lilly and Jack are and can bring them home.
Convoys of RCMP trucks and search and rescue teams poured into the forest from Halifax, Truro, and Cape Breton. By sundown, more than 100 volunteers were combing the woods, line by line, step by step. They searched the pipeline trail, the creek beds, the broken terrain left behind by post-tropical storm Fiona. When night fell, 75 rescuers stayed behind, flashlights cutting through the mist, each working 12-hour shifts in the dark. Above them, helicopters circled low with infrared cameras, while drones traced silent arcs through the cold air. Command tents glowed under floodlights, maps spread across folding tables, radios crackling through static. Every sound, a branch snapping, a dog's bark, the hum of rotors, felt like it could be the moment they'd find something. But as dawn came again, the forest gave nothing back. Daniel Martel faced the camera for the first time. His voice was soft, measured, but his eyes told a different story. He spoke about Lilly and Jack like any father would.
Awesome kids, very, very kind. They'll talk to anyone. They want to go with anyone. They're just looking to have as much fun as they can. Jack just absolutely loves bugs, dinosaurs, and anything like that.
We know that there's a lot of people pulling for these kids to come home. We've heard a lot about the impact that this is having on the community at large and the family, and it's really important that we locate these children and get the information.
From the start, RCMP dismissed the idea of abduction. To them, this was a search, not a crime. But to locals, that didn't add up. How could two children disappear, together, without a trace, in broad daylight?
From the scene here and from anyone who might have information about the kids and their habits. So it's been really important to have engagement from anyone who knows these kids.
As the sun slipped behind the trees, Lansdowne Station changed. Searchers traded daylight for headlamps, their beams slicing through fog that clung to the forest floor. The hum of drones replaced the birdsong. The steady rhythm of boots crushed the silence. Exhausted rescuers huddled over maps under floodlights, tracing the same trails again and again. Thermal cameras swept the woods, but the screens showed only black, no heat, no movement, nothing.
From everything I've seen, yes. They'd be hiding. They would have crawled underneath something probably when they got tired. They could have gone further than what we searched. There's all kinds of scenarios, unfortunately.
By midnight, the temperature had dropped, the air damp and heavy with the scent of pine and fear. Coffee steamed in paper cups as searchers whispered updates, their voices low, uncertain. Somewhere beyond the tree line, an echo carried. Jack? Lilly? And then, only the wind, no footprints, no clothing. No sign of two small children who had simply disappeared into the night.
Awesome kids, very, very kind. They'll talk to anyone. They want to go with anyone.
His words carried an eerie tone, both innocent and unsettling. As the search stretched into the second night, even RCMP began to widen the scope. But there were still no answers. By the end of the first night, the trail was cold. Two children were gone. A province was awake. And the mystery of Lilly and Jack Sullivan had only just begun.
You know, just a terrible amount of stress on the families, but we do have a lot of, we've improved a lot with our mental health, but we've got a long ways to go. And it's not just when there's crises like this, you know, we still have a long ways to go in mental health, but I think if those families, when they're ready, step forward to get the help that they need, I think the help will be there. But a lot of times, as you know, you have to be your own best advocate. But I know that neighbors and friends are certainly there to help the family of the young kayaker and the families now. We've got to do everything we can and to keep praying for these little ones.
Yeah. The search begins. Within hours of a 911 call, Lansdowne Station became a command post. Police, search and rescue teams, and neighbors converged on the dirt roads that cut through the Nova Scotia woods. Dozens of volunteers from across the province answered the call. Stellarton, Truro, Halifax, each determined to find the two missing children. It was the first major deployment of the Nova Scotia ground search and rescue in months, and the air buzzed with urgency. Radio channels crackled with coordinates. Drones were prepped. Helicopters fueled. The mission was clear. Find Lilly and Jack before nightfall. By late afternoon, the woods were alive with motion. Boots crunching leaves, dogs barking, radios echoing. Search teams swept ravines, swamps, and creeks, expanding their radius kilometer by kilometer. Amy Hansen, search manager, called it one of the most difficult terrains she'd seen in 22 years.
From everything I've seen, yes. They'd be hiding. They would have crawled underneath something probably when they got tired. They could have gone further than what we searched. There's all kinds of scenarios, unfortunately.
Downed trees from post-tropical storm Fiona made progress slow and dangerous. Yet they pressed on, knowing every minute mattered. They were chasing silence, and silence gives nothing back.
A lot of area to cover. We're out in the sticks here. Close to the house there in case they happen to sneak out and get back into the house.
When the search went beyond daylight, technology took over. Infrared drones equipped with FLIR sensors scanned treetops, hunting for a trace of heat, a movement, a heartbeat, anything. When people go missing, these drones can help, a technician explained as his monitor glowed in the dark. Helicopters from the Nova Scotia Guard circled low, their floodlights cutting through mist like search beams over an ocean. From above, the forest looked endless. Every tree another shadow, every shadow another possibility. Searchers worked 12-hour shifts, rotating teams around the clock. Some had been up for nearly 36 hours, unwilling to rest. Each new team began where the last left off, retracing paths already cleared, hoping the next light might reveal what the last one missed. Rain fell briefly, turning trails into mud. But no one stopped. Every twig snap, every rustle, was checked, logged, and ruled out. 12,000 man-hours, and still nothing. By the third night, searchers paused at the edge of the woods, exhausted, soaked, and shaken. They had found boot prints, scraps of fabric, broken branches, but nothing conclusive. Nothing that said Lilly and Jack were here. The forest, once loud with shouts and radio calls, fell silent again. And that silence, cold, heavy, endless, would follow this case for months to come. The community on edge. As night fell, Stellarton filled with light. Hundreds gathered, holding candles and paper lanterns for Lilly and Jack.
Tonight is about saying a prayer, and we're going to light the way home for them. Illuminate the path for Lilly and Jack. Guide their footsteps home.
Each flame a silent prayer, a whisper into the dark. Guide them home. For a province still haunted by loss, it felt painfully familiar. Neighbors, strangers, searchers, all standing shoulder to shoulder.
It's like every parent's worst nightmare. You don't ever want to have to ever go through something like this. And I think it's good to show them that their community is here for support if they need it.
United by something they couldn't understand. Some whispered that maybe the children were still out there. Others that the truth was already buried in the woods. But everyone agreed on one thing. Nova Scotia had changed. Robert Parker, warden of Pictou County, looked into the cameras and said what everyone felt.
Oh, I think it's mostly a mood of anxiety, maybe, and frustration. They too can't believe that there's not an answer by this long and this many people looking.
His words carried across the province, across social media, across hearts already heavy with fear. For decades, Parker had seen storms, accidents, tragedies, but never this. Never two children vanishing into thin air. Behind his calm tone, his eyes betrayed something else. The realization that this search had become something deeper, a wound shared by an entire community. In the days that followed, schools stayed open, but recess felt different.
Every day, almost, I go by the RCMP, and it's just so tragic, just so tragic. You know, I just feel so bad for their whole family. I'm hoping that they find them.
It just doesn't look good, but I hope I'm wrong.
Parents walked their kids to class, waiting at the gate until the bell rang. The word safe no longer meant what it used to. Facebook groups filled with updates, theories, and prayers. Neighbors double-locked their doors for the first time in years. The calm beauty of rural Nova Scotia had turned brittle, fragile, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. Locals said they hadn't felt this kind of fear since Westray, a mine explosion of '92 that killed 26 men. That same tension, that same helpless waiting. "We've been stressed out since Westray," one resident told CBC. 30 years later, it was children, not minors, trapped in the unknown. And the weight of unanswered questions settled once again over Pictou County like coal dust, fine and suffocating. By week 2, the conversation shifted. Some blamed the woods. Others whispered about the parents. Speculation spread faster than the RCMP could respond. Screens glowed late into the night with questions no one could answer. Did someone take them? Why no footprints? In a community that once trusted easily, doubt had become its own contagion. When logic failed, people turned to faith. Churches opened doors for midnight vigils. Children's drawings of Lilly and Jack lined pews and windows. In those drawings, the two siblings were always smiling, always together. For a community that had searched every inch of earth, prayer became the only ground left to cover. Days turned to weeks. The phone stopped ringing as often. Reporters left. Only the families, the rescuers, and the faithful remained, waiting for something, anything. The silence was worse than bad news. It was the sound of time erasing hope, minute by minute. And through it all, one question grew heavier. If the children were still alive, why couldn't anyone find them? Despite exhaustion, despite fear, the people of Pictou County didn't stop. Meals were brought to searchers. Posters were printed. Donations poured in. Each act of kindness defied the darkness closing in. Because somewhere beneath the grief and suspicion, hope still lived, fragile, flickering, but alive. And as lanterns floated into the night sky, their glow reflected the one truth everyone shared. Lilly and Jack had become everyone's children. RCMP statements and first doubts. At first, RCMP insisted this was not a criminal case.
On the community at large and the family, and it's really important that we locate these children and get the information from the scene here and from anyone who might have information about the kids and their habits. So it's been really important to have engagement from anyone who knows these kids.
We're looking for two young children who simply wandered away. One spokesperson told reporters no signs of forced entry, no evidence of an abduction. To police, it was a missing persons search, nothing more. But to the people of Pictou County, that explanation felt too neat. 2 children vanishing together, in broad daylight, from a home surrounded by woods. It didn't feel like wandering. It felt like something else. On the second day of the search, the children's mother, Malehya Brooks Murray, left the area with her infant daughter to stay with relatives. RCMP confirmed it, but gave no reason why. The move fueled online speculation instantly. Was she told to leave? Was she avoiding scrutiny? Police said only that family members were cooperating.
We weren't aware
But in
of
a
it at
case
the time.
already short on facts, absence began to speak louder than words. For weeks, RCMP offered little detail. Their language was cautious, procedural. All scenarios under review, ongoing investigation, judicial authorizations obtained. But each vague phrase left room for imagination to fill the blanks. And in a province where gossip moves faster than official updates, the vacuum became its own storm. The public wanted answers. RCMP wanted control. Neither would get what they wanted. Within days, the story fractured. Some believed the children had wandered off. Others were convinced something darker had happened. The RCMP's neutrality, their refusal to speculate, only deepened suspicion. Each official silence was read as denial, each update as damage control. By the 3rd week, what began as search coordination had become a battle of narratives. The official version and the one the community built on fear. When word spread that the children's stepfather, Daniel Martel, had taken a polygraph test, the speculation reached a fever pitch. Online threads dissected every gesture, every pause from his interviews. Martel later confirmed it himself. They asked me if I killed Lilly and Jack. I passed. RCMP neither confirmed nor denied his claim. To the public, that silence sounded like a verdict. 5 weeks in, reporters pressed RCMP again. Were they sure it wasn't abduction? The spokesperson hesitated, then shifted the line. All scenarios are being considered. It was a small change in words.
While the search has been ongoing, RCMP officers continued with the missing person investigation, speaking with family and community members to gather tips and other information that could help locate the children. We have not received any confirmed reports of sightings. As of today, May 7th, the active search efforts to locate Lilly and Jack will be scaled back. We're transitioning from a full-scale search to searches in more specific spaces that have already been searched by our teams. We want to circle back to increase the probability that all clues have been found. And when transitioning from an active search to a scaled-back search, the probability of survival is taken into consideration. I want to assure you that our missing persons investigation continues. We're not packing up, and we're not giving up. Our investigation is broad, and it won't end until we know where Lilly and Jack are and can bring them home. Because of the terrain, there could be different types of things that we may want to try and get back in if we are able to locate anything that may come up that the searchers didn't go catch the first time. But we will do everything we can to try and find Jack and Lilly. Yeah, and based on the weather, the season changes, we don't want to leave, and we're not leaving. It's just that this part of this search is being scaled back.
I can't really speculate on the investigation, obviously. That wouldn't be fair to the process. But we are constantly reviewing everything that's been done, looking at all different facets of available information, and we'll make decisions on that. I can't really comment on the details of that, but we will pursue every lead that becomes available and take it to where it needs to go.
There's a lot of the hurricane damage from Fiona a couple of years ago, and we've had teams struggling to get through areas, and I can't say anything more about the searchers. They're pushing through all of these areas, going through all of these deadfalls, going through waterways and anything possible just to cover their search areas, so we know that everything has been so thoroughly searched that it's time to, as they say, scale back and we're exhausting people, and we're starting to see more injuries coming back the last couple of days, and it's just...
But a massive one in tone. For the first time, the door was open to anything. And once opened, it would never fully close. Different networks reported different truths. Some led with no abduction suspected. Others ran, police not ruling out foul play. The message blurred between broadcasts, confusing families watching from home. The country was following every word, yet no one seemed sure what the words meant. The case was becoming a mirror, reflecting whatever the audience wanted to believe. As RCMP doubled down on search mode, another story quietly unfolded. Why had the mother left? Insiders told CBC that personal reasons were cited, but off record, frustration grew. Investigators were under pressure. Public trust was slipping. And behind every official phrase, ongoing, methodical, confidential, was the quiet dread of a case that wasn't moving. While RCMP asked for patience, families were running out of it. Belinda Gray, the children's grandmother, told CBC, "There's no reason any child would wander deep into those woods." Her voice cracked on the word wander. To her, it wasn't a search anymore. It was something else. And each time RCMP repeated their cautious phrases, she heard something missing: empathy. By the end of June, frustration boiled over. Online, in cafes, even in town hall meetings, people asked if police were hiding something. Why no suspects? Why no timeline? Why no trace? The RCMP, cornered by pressure, stuck to their language. We will continue until we know what happened. But for a public that had already decided what they believed, it was too late. The doubt had taken root. The line between mystery and mistrust was gone. Daniel Martel speaks. From the moment he appeared on camera, Daniel Martel was a man under siege. Soft-spoken, pale, his voice cracked under questions that no one should ever have to answer. He said he'd been searching too, walking the same trails, calling their names until his throat went raw. He wanted to believe the children had wandered off, but the public didn't believe him. To them, he wasn't grieving. He was performing. To him, every interview felt like a trap he had to walk into anyway. Weeks later, Daniel revealed he had taken a polygraph.
Every day when I wake up, it feels like I'm reliving a nightmare of May 2nd. But the main feelings from sadness have just turned to anger because there's no evidence as of after 1 month. And it's really taken. I know that they're working hard and they're using every resource they have, and it makes me hopeful because that's all we have at this point is just hope.
He said the first question was simple and brutal. Did you harm Lilly and Jack? He told CBC. They said I passed. But the test didn't clear him in the eyes of the public. Online threads tore apart every word, every twitch, every sigh. RCMP never confirmed his result, nor denied it. Silence became its own judgment. And Daniel learned that sometimes even the truth can't defend you. When cadaver dogs returned months later, Daniel said he wasn't even told when. I came home and the dogs were already on scene, he recalled. He watched them comb through every corner, the woods, the marsh, even beneath his deck. 3 days, 40 kilometers. 2 dogs trained to detect human remains. They found nothing. Daniel exhaled, but it wasn't relief. He knew people would still say the same thing. No remains doesn't mean no guilt. During that search, one of the dog handlers confronted him. We think you did something Thursday night. Daniel froze. He said the accusation cut through him, not because it was true, but because it came from someone who barely knew the case. He didn't know any of the details. He said my story didn't have enough detail. Daniel told him it was a normal day until Friday morning. That's when life changed. To him, every word he spoke was a defense. To the world watching, Every word was evidence. The tension didn't end with the search. It deepened. Daniel later claimed that one of the handlers, a veteran with years in human remains recovery, accused him directly. He said I was lying. He said my timeline didn't make sense. Daniel insisted. He told them everything, every hour of that Thursday, every movement before dawn. But to him, the handler wasn't listening. He told me, "We think you did something Thursday night." He didn't know the case. He'd just seen me on TV once. From that moment, Daniel said, the tone changed. He wasn't a father desperate for answers anymore.
We were searching. We covered everywhere possible. Even in the first day we did. Even with me running through the woods, I was ahead of the helicopters and ahead of the drones and stuff like that. Screaming as loud as I can, just until my throat hurt. Running through water that was up to my waist. And as soon as I got back, I wasn't allowed back in the woods until a man dressed in military outfit said I could go back into the woods.
4 days into the search for his missing stepkids, Lilly and Jack Sullivan, Daniel Martel is pleading with the public to keep their eyes peeled. But he has begun to lose hope they are anywhere in the vicinity.
They hate being wet and cold, so they immediately would have came right back into the house. The only two prints are right beside the house facing the road, and then that's it.
Martel wants the search to be extended to include provincial borders in case the children were abducted, a reality he says is becoming more and more likely.
Post any officers they can get at the New Brunswick border, PI border, and get them at every airport possible.
Daniel pointed to numbers, proof of the search's scale. There were 70,000 drone photos taken. They would have found something if it was there. To him, that was logic. To others, it sounded like deflection. He said he'd given notebooks of ideas to police, even asked to retake the polygraph with new examiners. The case, he believed, had turned into theater, and he was both the witness and the accused.
Anybody who has any information, or you think you've seen something, or hear something, or any messages from friends about hearing something, just contact your local police services. Anything, guys. Anything.
Ella MacDonald, Global News, Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia.
The noise never stopped. He said every time he blinked, it was a new theory. New strangers analyzing his face, his hands, his tone. People are free to judge, but maybe use a little bit of this, he said, tapping his head. He claimed edited photos and fake AI images spread faster than RCMP updates. And in that chaos, the human story, two missing children, began to disappear beneath the algorithm. "I'm not doing well, but better than I was," he said quietly. The search had become his daily ritual. Wake up, call police, wait. He said he met with investigators 3 times a week when they answered. Each day, he woke hoping for a different headline. Each night, the same silence. He said it was physically, mentally, emotionally exhausting. He looked away from the camera and added, "Every day is new hope. You just keep going forward." In the months after the disappearance, older reports resurfaced online, claims of past discipline at home. CBC did not confirm these as criminal matters. Daniel acknowledged to investigators that stress and exhaustion had taken a toll. That tempers sometimes flared, but denied ever crossing a line. He said any visible marks seen in older photos of Jack were from rough play, not harm. The allegations spread anyway, copied and riposted, each time stripped further from context. It wasn't evidence, it was ammunition. 5 months after the children vanished, Daniel was still there, answering calls, giving interviews, repeating the same lines to a camera that never seemed satisfied. He said he hoped the dogs would prove him innocent. He said he wanted people to look elsewhere. And yet, every frame of footage became part of the case against him, not in court, but in the public mind. The more he spoke, the less they believed. As summer turned to fall, the noise faded, but so did the sympathy. RCMP called it an active missing person investigation. Daniel called it a life frozen in place. "I didn't do anything," He told CBC again. I know Malehya didn't. I know my mother didn't. 3 names. 3 people left under the same shadow. And somewhere beyond the tree line, the questions remained. Who was Daniel Martel? A desperate father figure? Or a man trapped by his own story?
I'm just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them. And I want them home. What happened was we woke up, I heard them playing in the next room beside us, and I was drifting in and out of sleep, and they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them, and they happen to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens. And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time, and the next thing we knew, it was quiet. And we get up and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, do you hear the kids? And he says, no. And we get up instantly. We're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them. And I instantly just call 911. I just had the instinct I needed to call. They're both really go-lucky children. They're so sweet. They talk to anyone. They'll talk your ear off. They will speak to anyone in a store, everyone. They're just extremely sweet kids. I appreciate the huge search effort going on right now. But we've been pushing for an Amber Alert, which hasn't been issued. Not just that they could possibly be abducted, which it is a possibility that they could have been, but just an alert to let everyone know that they are missing. We had people text me saying that they weren't aware someone else let them know that they were missing, and it would just be nice if everyone could be alerted. We thought maybe that we found tracks, but it's still uncertain. It's been raining and they're probably soaking wet, but with the sun today, I'm hopeful that they are feeling warm. We're all filled with pain and sorrow because we just want them found. We want them home. Everyone loves them. They are definitely verbal, and they do have possible autism, but it's not extreme autism. It's just they have issues with school, and they don't catch up with the other kids. I just want to remain hopeful. But there's always, in a mother's mind, you're always thinking the worst. Last night was one of the worst nights because I didn't have them in their beds. And I don't want to go through that another night without them.
The last few days have been very stressful. I mean, ever since the Friday morning, when we noticed that the children were gone. Immediately jumped in the vehicle, surveyed all the areas, many dirt roads, many culverts as I could, and waited for the police to get there. As soon as I noticed they weren't there, I immediately jumped right in the vehicle and surveyed all the area, every dirt road, every culvert I could find. Jack just absolutely loves bugs, dinosaurs, and anything like that. But Lily loves girly things, but she also loves doing everything with Jack, bugs. They're like best friends, not just brother and sister. Jack just absolutely loves bugs, dinosaurs, and anything like that. But Lily loves girly things, but she also loves doing everything with Jack, bugs. They're like best friends, not just brother and sister. I know they took their boots. That's pink boots for Lily, blue boots for Jack with dinosaurs on them. Lily had her backpack with white, and it was white with strawberries on it. I imagine now if they're in the woods that it'd be probably brown, but I don't see them carrying their backpack. I don't see them keeping a pull-up one for that long after it got soaked from the very first day. We only found the 2 boot tracks outside of the house.
Whereabouts?
Right beside the house, probably 10 feet away from the backyard.
In the backyard, okay.
Nothing new, other than the helicopters are still in the air, and they had dogs. They took around the dogs today, and as of last night, they had 8 more drones going on with infrared. I urge the public to come out if you have anything, come out as fast as possible and get it to any detachment or any police service that you have available to get to talk to.
Belinda Gray's plea?
My heart tells me these babies are gone. My heart tells me that.
Lilly is 6 years old. Jack just turned 5. That's how Belinda Gray begins her interview. Her voice small, fragile, breaking between sentences. The camera lingers on her face. Grief doesn't need to be dramatized. It just exists. The last time they were here, she says softly, they were still basically babies. Lilly was 4.
But in the back of my mind, I kept saying, well, they'll find them. I mean, I'm assuming that they'd find them. So I told her, well, we'll head out first thing in the morning and help with the search. It was around between 3 and 3:30 in the morning. A couple of cop cars pull into the driveway. The lights wake me up that I'm a fairly light sleeper, so I see the cars pull in, so I knew what it was. So they come inside. They only stood in the kitchen. They wanted me to wake Cody up, and they wanted to know when was the last time he had seen the kids, and that they were just making sure that the kids weren't here.
She was a carbon copy of me. She copied everything I did. And Jack, he was just crawling on the floor, learning to walk. The last time they were here, she says softly, they were still basically babies. Lilly was 4. She was a carbon copy of me. She copied everything I did. And Jack, he was just crawling on the floor, learning to walk. When the children went missing, she joined the search herself. She remembers wading through the woods, calling their names, her voice swallowed by the trees. We started working our way up through the woods, along a brook, crossed over it, came back down. But I knew when I found out Malehya had left, something wasn't right. That's when the tone of her story changes. The tears stop, and suspicion begins. She doesn't accuse, not directly, but her choice of words holds a quiet conviction. I don't think they wandered off, she says. The pause after that line is heavy. You can hear it in her breathing, the certainty of a grandmother who knows something deeper than the facts. As the interview continues, her grief turns to disbelief. How could 2 children vanish from their own home, in a community surrounded by people who cared? How could a mother just leave town, even if only for safety, while her children were still missing? These are the questions she doesn't have to ask out loud. They hang in the air between her words. The RCMP's version was careful, procedural. No signs of abduction, likely wandered off. Belinda's version is simpler, sharper, and far more human. They didn't just wander off. There's no malice in her tone. Only exhaustion, the kind that comes from weeks of sleepless nights and unanswered calls. Every family member she speaks to, every volunteer she meets, shares the same fear, that the search has become routine, not rescue. She says she still keeps their toys. A stuffed dinosaur for Jack, a small pink blanket for Lilly. Every night, she folds them the same way, as if she's preparing for them to come home tomorrow. Your grandchildren, she says, they're part of you. When you leave this world, they're still a part of you. In her home, the TV plays quietly. Reruns of the search footage she's already memorized. Helicopters, drones, search teams walking in lines. But no answers. She shakes her head. Hope is what keeps you standing, she says. But some days, it feels like standing on air. Outside, the world keeps moving. Schools reopen. Children play in the park again. But for Belinda, time froze on May 2nd, 2025. The last morning Lilly and Jack were seen alive. The community around her shares that stillness. Neighbors light candles. Teachers hang drawings the children made in class. Even strangers in grocery stores stop her to say they're praying. Everyone wants them found, she says. But we need to know the truth. The truth, that's the word that keeps returning, like an echo she can't escape. Because missing isn't a story you can live with forever. Missing means waiting. Missing means no closure, no goodbye, no grave to visit, no answers to quiet the nightmares. And while RCMP maintained their careful distance, all scenarios under investigation, Belinda felt something slipping through their hands. The urgency, the empathy, the connection. In her eyes, the case wasn't just procedural, it was personal. Each day without progress was another day those two children were lost twice, once in the woods and once in the bureaucracy. When she speaks about Malehya, the children's mother, her tone is measured, restrained, almost protective. She doesn't accuse her outright, but the hurt is there. When I found out she left, I knew, she whispers. A mother doesn't walk away from this. There's no anger in her voice, just disbelief, heavy as grief. For Belinda, motherhood is instinct, not choice. To leave, to not be there, even for a day, was unimaginable. She says she doesn't follow social media theories anymore. Too much noise. Too many strangers making profit off pain. But she does watch the YouTube live streams, not because she trusts them, but because they're the only places still saying the children's names. As long as people keep talking about them, she says, they're still out there.
Are you
At this
able to
point in the
authorize
film,
and
her
start
voice
getting
fades
some,
under the sound of the wind
search
outside her
going
home.
to the
We
airlock
see her standing
location?
in the doorway, looking out toward the tree
Radio
line.
chatter.
The same
Search
woods where
crews
she
and first
searched that first
responders
week.
mobilizing in
The
a
camera
quest
doesn't need
no one
narration
dreamed
anymore.
would take this
Her
long.
silence says enough. Still, the narrator
Make sure mom
returns
stays
softly.
close to the house
Belinda
there in
Gray's
case they
plea
happen to
isn't just for
sneak out
answers.
and get back
It's
into
for
the house.
remembrance, to keep Jack and Lily
A home
from becoming
deep
another
in rural
unsolved
Nova
headline.
Scotia, 140
Another
kilometers
cold case
northeast of
named.
Halifax, the
And in
last
that plea
known
lies the
location.
rawest truth of all. That
A lot of
grief is
area
not
to
passive.
cover. Or
It
out in sticks
moves,
here.
it fights, it
Not
refuses to
one, but
vanish.
two missing
Just like
children.
the love
a
of a
dog
grandmother
that barks at
who
everything,
still
a
believes
mother
her
who left
grandchildren
on the
didn't
second
simply
day,
walk
a
away.
father who hasn't.
Cadaver-dog search. 4.5 months after Lilly and Jack Sullivan vanished, the tone of the investigation changed. The RCMP announced a new phase, one that no one wanted to hear. Although we have no information to suggest the children are deceased, the spokesperson said, we have to consider all avenues. For the first time, the word cadaver appeared in an official update. 2 highly trained dogs, flown in from British Columbia, would search for the scent of human remains. It was the moment when the hope of rescue quietly shifted toward the possibility of recovery. The area chosen was dense and unforgiving. 8.5 square kilometers of forest and pipeline trail surrounding the family's home in Lansdowne Station. Searchers knew every route and ridge by heart, but this time the objective was different. Not to find movement or warmth, but to detect the faint chemical trace of death beneath the soil. Daniel Martel said he had been asking for this for months. I'm actually pretty happy about that, he told CBC. I've been asking since the summer. It's been delayed, but it's about time. He sounded relieved, almost defiant, as if the dogs might finally silence the theories. Then he added, I know, for 100%, they won't find anything. To him, the dogs represented closure. To everyone else, they represented confirmation, one way or another. As the teams arrived, Daniel said he wasn't even told the exact day. I came home and they were already on scene, he recalled. They searched his property, his trailer, under the deck, along the marsh, through the ponds. The air was thick with vegetation, early autumn leaves beginning to fall. A difficult environment for scent work. With this much overgrowth, it's hard, Daniel said. I just hope they bring more than one dog. For 3 days, the handlers and their dogs combed the woods, covering over 40 kilometers in total. They retraced every trail, the same paths walked by hundreds of volunteers months before. They revisited the pipeline corridor, where searchers had once found a pink blanket belonging to Lilly. And they followed a brook leading away from the property, the same brook that Belinda Gray had walked beside during her desperate search in May. Helicopters no longer hovered overhead. The operation was quieter now, slower, methodical, deliberate. Every bark, every pause, every wag of a tail could mean something. Handlers watched for the smallest shift in behavior, the sign of a scent too faint for humans to detect. But after days of searching, the RCMP confirmed the result. The dogs did not locate or signify any scent of human remains. No bodies, no items of interest, no trace at all. It should have been good news, but it wasn't. Instead, the absence of evidence only deepened the void. If the children weren't in the woods, where were they? And if the dogs, trained for years to recognize what death leaves behind, found nothing, did that mean there was still a chance they were alive? The RCMP cautioned the public not to draw conclusions. They explained that even the best trained dogs have limits. Weather, wind, and thick vegetation can dilute or block a scent. The odor molecules that indicate human remains might have dissipated long ago. It doesn't mean there are no remains there, one officer clarified. It just means the dogs didn't detect any. Behind the official words, a subtle shift had occurred. The RCMP's calm tone now carried something else: frustration. 5 months in, more than 8,000 video files reviewed, over 800 public tips investigated, and still nothing. For Daniel, the news was bittersweet. Everything's ruled out here, he told CBC. Maybe now people will stop pointing fingers. He wanted the search to close one chapter, to prove his innocence through absence. But as the story reached national headlines, social media had already decided otherwise. Every time he said, "I'm happy they searched," it was cut into clips, dissected, and reposted as proof of guilt. The cadaver-dog search ended with no discoveries. No closure for the family, no breakthrough for investigators, no comfort for the grandmother, who still believed they hadn't just wandered off. In the end, the forest remained the same, silent, endless, and unsolved. And the RCMP promised they would keep going until we can determine with certainty the circumstances of the children's disappearance, and until they're found. No remains found. The search ended the same way it began, with silence. After 3 days of meticulous work, 2 highly trained cadaver dogs from British Columbia had completed their sweep of the Lansdowne area. They covered nearly 40 square kilometers, woods, pipeline corridors, trails, and marshland, including the exact spot where a pink blanket had once been found months earlier. When the results came in, the RCMP were cautious but clear. The dogs did not locate or signify any scent of human remains. That single line became the headline across Canada. No scent, no trace, no remains. But for those who had waited months for closure, the words felt like a door slamming shut. A reporter asked Staff Sergeant Rob McCammon to clarify. Did that mean the children weren't there? He paused before answering. It doesn't necessarily mean that. It just means the dogs didn't detect any. The explanation was clinical, almost rehearsed. There are too many factors, McCammon said. Wind, humidity, vegetation density. The scent could have been too faint or no longer present at all. We're dealing with nature, he told the press. There's no way to say with 100% certainty. For Daniel Martel, that uncertainty was enough. Everything's ruled out here, he said. I hope this speculation turns elsewhere. He repeated the line several times in different interviews, as if saying it could make it true. He wanted closure, an end to suspicion. But online, the silence only fueled more noise. Clips from the press conference circulated within hours. RCMP officers explaining, no human remains found. Martel's confident tone, and the line everyone kept replaying. I know for 100% they won't find anything. To strangers on social media, it sounded less like relief and more like foreknowledge. The more Daniel tried to appear calm, the more detached he seemed. In the public's mind, no discovery was not the same as innocence. It was mystery, the kind that refuses to rest. Meanwhile, investigators quietly moved on to the next phase, cataloging data, reviewing thousands of video frames, and updating forensic labs. McCammon said his team was committed to continuing the investigation under the Missing Persons Act. Not a criminal case, not yet. We haven't collected evidence that suggests criminal activity at this time, he told reporters. But we're exploring all possibilities. That statement landed heavily. 5 months of searching, more than 8,000 surveillance videos, over 860 public tips, and still no trace of 2 children who should have been easy to find. The RCMP's careful wording was meant to calm the public, but instead, it deepened the divide. To some, it meant the case was still alive. To others, it meant it was growing cold. As the days passed, the search tents were packed up, the drones were grounded, the maps were taken off the walls. What remained were 2 photographs, Jack with a toy truck, Lilly in a pink dress, pinned to a bulletin board under fluorescent light. The silence of the forest had won again. Belinda Gray watched the update from home. Her hands shook slightly as she turned off the TV. They didn't just wander off, she had said months ago. Now, with every new no remains found, her words began to sound less like denial and more like prophecy. In her kitchen, the calendar still read May. She hadn't changed it since the children disappeared. Every square on the page was marked with a number, each day crossed out in red pen. Not counting time, but marking loss. The investigation continued, at least on paper. Forensic testing of the pink blanket, follow-ups on old witness statements, routine casework that fills the silence between breakthroughs. But for those closest to the story, routine felt like surrender. We'll keep going, McCammon told the cameras, until we can determine with certainty the circumstances of the children's disappearance and until they're found. His words echoed against the metal chairs of the press room. But to those listening at home, they sounded like something else. The closing of a chapter that never found its ending. And so the case entered its quietest phase yet. No new evidence, no arrests, no sightings. Just a cold trail and a forest that had already been searched too many times. A camera pans back to the woods at dusk. Mist rising, dogs barking faintly in the distance. The sound of a helicopter fading into nothing. No remains found. No peace found either. The online theories. When the official updates slowed, the internet took over. Across YouTube, TikTok, and Reddit, the story of Lilly and Jack Sullivan began to mutate, from tragedy into theory. Within weeks, there were hundreds of videos, thousands of comments, and millions of views. Each clip claimed to have the real timeline, the secret interview, or the clue police ignored. One of the most shared came from a local live stream titled, "As Rumors Swirl, Missing Children's Family Turns to YouTube." The host, a family friend, said they had no choice. "People are going to talk anyway," they explained. "At least let them hear our side." The Sullivan case became an algorithmic storm, fed by grief, speculation, and outrage. Daniel Martel began appearing in live chats, commenting under his own name. "I have nothing to hide," he said. "Ask me anything." He thought transparency would quiet suspicion. It didn't. Screenshots of his replies were shared on Reddit threads, dissecting his tone, his punctuation, even the time of day he posted. A moment of honesty became another exhibit in the court of public opinion. RCMP officers soon noticed the impact. A communications sergeant later told CBC that true crime coverage can both help and hurt investigations. "Social media can bring new information," he said, but it can also distort facts faster than we can correct them. For investigators already overwhelmed with thousands of tips, every false lead costs hours. Dozens of calls came in from viewers convinced they had seen the children in grocery stores, parks, or cars. Each one had to be checked. None were real. The digital echo chamber blurred the line between witness and storyteller. Creators used aerial maps, voiceovers, and AI recreations to dramatize what little was known. And as the views grew, so did the noise. For Daniel, the internet became both a weapon and a lifeline, the only place still saying the children's names, but also the place that wouldn't let him breathe. "This whole situation has gone on too long," he said in one stream. "It's destroying everyone involved." In the comments, hearts and accusations scrolled side by side. The search for truth had become entertainment, and the missing, content. Where the case stands today. It has now been 6 months since Lilly and Jack Sullivan disappeared. No arrests, no breakthroughs, no answers. On what would have been Jack's 5th birthday, dozens gathered outside the RCMP station in Stellarton. There was no cake, only candles. His grandmother read a poem. "Every step is a prayer whispered to the wind." The words drifted upward with the smoke, vanishing into the same night sky that had swallowed 2 children half a year before. For the first time since May, both sides of the family stood in the same place, separated by silence, more than distance. Daniel Martel attended quietly, holding a candle near the back. Malehya Brooks Murray did not appear, choosing to mark the day in private with her mother. Neither spoke publicly. In their latest statement, the RCMP confirmed what many feared. The investigation remains active under the Missing Persons Act. We have not gathered evidence indicating criminal activity. The file officially is still open. Unofficially, it is cold. 8,000 videos reviewed, 800 tips checked, 40 square kilometers searched. Not a single trace found. And yet, the hope remains. Every few weeks, someone posts a photo online. A child with the same haircut, the same eyes. Every time, families look twice, knowing it isn't them, but wishing it was, until new evidence appears. The case of Lilly and Jack Sullivan remains where it began, in the quiet woods of Nova Scotia, where the wind still carries their names, and the truth has yet to be found. Lilly Mae Sullivan was 6 years old. Jack William James Sullivan had just turned 5. They vanished from their home in Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia, and no one has seen them since. For their family, every sunrise is another question with no answer. For investigators, every lead brings them back to the same point, the edge of the woods and the silence beyond. The RCMP continues to treat this as an active missing persons investigation. If you have seen anything or know anything about the disappearance of Lilly and Jack Sullivan, please contact Nova Scotia RCMP or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. Even the smallest detail could help bring them home. As the months turn into years, one truth remains. These children deserve to be found.